All right. We're continuing on with Sri Sharda Devi and her divine play, looking at Mother as the divine, well, as looking at God as Mother. And, it's interesting. I've had a couple of people come and visit here at the retreat here in Santa Barbara, in Santa Barbara. And as you know, this place is run by the nuns and has been for many years. And I've had two of those three people that came to visit comment on what a different energy it is when the women are in charge of the monastery here, or the monastery, and start in charge of the center. And we were kind of talking about how that was. And the first things you recognize here is that this center is so pristine. I mean, there's flowers everywhere. The gardens are perfectly kept. Everything is trimmed and everything is kept spick and span. And so there's a lot of discipline here that's evident when you step on the place. And there's a calmness, a real serene atmosphere to this campus as well. So you'll see that if you come and visit and hang out here and see it. And so I think it's important the divine feminine, should be getting at least equal billing, but it's not even getting anywhere close to equal billing. So I'm glad that we're looking at it. All right. So Mother is talking. She's teaching us some pretty difficult things here. She basically just finished telling us that we have to get rid of all desire in order to escape this wheel of rebirth over and over and over again. And she says that that you can't have realization with even a single desire. So you have to take care of all of them. And it says, how can the mind that has merged itself in God be brought back again to the world? How can one ever separate a jar of water from the water of the lake it has been poured into? And Mother says, well, not everybody can, but a realized soul can, a Paramahamsa, someone of the caliber of a Ramakrishna, an incarnation, or a Jivan, what for the ever perfect.
Jivan Mukta, Swami.
The Jivan Muktas, okay. The ever perfects. And so the person asks after that, she says, well, how can everyone be rid of desire? If they could, then this creation would come to an end, Mother says. The creation continues because everyone cannot be free from desire. People with desire take birth again and again. Suppose a man gives up his body while standing in the waters of the Ganges, right? Someone's trying to fix the game there, because supposedly the Ganges is purifying. So if you die while standing in the Ganges, certainly then you must be able to get to end your rebirths. But Mother says freedom from birth is possible only when there is no trace of desire. So you're not going to get any of these quick fixes by standing in the Ganges. So freedom from birth is possible only when there is no trace of desire. Otherwise, nothing else is of any avail, Holy Mother concluded. And so what is this saying to us? I mean, it's saying that we really have to make a concerted effort to discern, right? To discern, to see the nature of things so that we stop desiring them. We stop thinking that there's something out there in the dreamland to grab and take. So we have to do a lot of practice to really clear out these ideas of me and mine from the heart so that we can live in this world contentedly. Without a need for anything, without trying to shore up our ego with anything, right? So the Divine Mother holds the key to liberation. In the Chandi, even the gods praise her. O Mother, you are the great primal energy, the source of infinite strength. You are the seed of the world and illusion divine. You have enchanted the whole universe, O Goddess Supreme, by your deluding charms. And yet, being propitious, you bestow liberation upon human beings. Right? So yes, so Mother has made the rule that all desire must be conquered. Mother also says that she reserves the right to give to give freedom to whoever she chooses by her grace, right? And says in general that really the only way that we reach the divine is through grace. And does that mean we don't have to give up all desires? No, not necessarily. What it does mean, though, is that grace will come to us and allow us to lose our desires. You know, that it's the grace of learning, it's the grace of Satchitananda that allows us to transcend, that allows us to understand, use our intelligence to pull out the thorns that are binding us or trapping us. Ramakrishna said enigmatically on different occasions that Holy Mother had the power to give liberation. In Varanasi, Golabma said to Brahmananda, Rakal, the mother asks why a devotee propitiates Shakti, the divine mother, at the beginning of worship. Brahmananda replied, it is because the key to knowledge of Brahman is in the divine mother's custody. There is no way to commune with Brahman unless the mother graciously unlocks the door. Holy Mother emphatically reassured her disciples, the Master promised me, to those who take refuge in you, I shall appear at their last moment and escort them by the hand. Don't be afraid, my son. Always remember the Master is behind you, and so am I. Whatever you do and wherever you go, the Master will come during your last moments to take you to his abode. God gave you hands, feet, and other senses to function in this world, and so it is natural that they will act according to their nature. The senses have their own way. So there's some amazing statements, and there's some beautiful promises. But first, let's take up this idea of the Divine Mother has the power to liberate. You know, that falls into a very easy context because Mother is all that manifests. Right? Anything with a manifestation falls in the realm of the Divine Mother, the realm of Shakti, the realm of change, of the realm of, well, I mean, it's caused by me and mine. So you could call it the realm of me and mine. But Mother, even though she is Shakti, even though she is the manifester of all things divine and beyond, she's not polluted by any of it. You know, she doesn't take on the nature of Maya. So in Maya, there's good and evil, but in the Mother, there's no need for such things. She's above that. She floats above the whole changing world, seeing all sides of all coins simultaneously. So there's not that. She doesn't become evil because there appears to be evil in the creation, in the manifestation. We see that seeing evil is a condition of our own impurity, right? That there's no good or evil in the creation. In the creation is as it is. There's no positive or negative value until it meets the divine self in you. When it meets the divine self in you, you will give it a value, positively or negatively, really depending on the degree to which you are attached to body mind. You know, so if you're attached to body mind, everything has lots of levels of value. Good food, bad food, nice temperature, cold, friendly people, mean people, comfortable seats, you know, not enough seats. All of that happens because of me and mine. We see the world in those terms. So it's Mother, who is all of this manifestation, that has the power to set us free at will, according to her grace, right? And so we cry out to her, we call out to Mother for our salvation. And here Ramakrishna is saying anybody who takes refuge in the Mother, you know, and that's, we've talked about that. Remember that we were talking just 2 weeks ago about that new way of kind of holding our ground in our growth by when we're being troubled by our senses or being, to use a Christian word, tempted, you know, that we turn to the Divine Mother. And remember, the instruction was, tell her, gather yourself for a moment and look at her and say, I take refuge in you, Mother. And then repeat her name, repeat the mantra, you know, your name of God, right? To hold you in that place of refuge. And Ramakrishna says, if you do that, even once, then when your body drops, I will be there to hold your hand and to take you across. So there is no need for fear. So we get some wonderful reassurances here, things that are very important. You know, yesterday as I was sitting there with you know, Sita, who's passing, who's coming close to her passing. Uh, it really brought home, as it always does, you know, the fact that this is the nature of life. And I kept placing myself in that bed and trying to see my days. My days are coming. My turn is not too far down the road, you know. And so I watched the way she was dealing with it, and just the strength of mind that she had, and the presence that she had, the graciousness that she had. You know, she was in a great deal of pain and, of course, very exhausted from fighting all of those cancers. And yet she sat there and received every guest so graciously, one after the other, had wonderful conversations with them, didn't mention any of her suffering the whole time I was there. You know, just a delight to see that. And this, of course, comes through practice. This comes, you know, she's a great devotee of the mother. And so she sees it as the dance of the mother. And we had someone there who was one of these, you know, healer, shaman type folks, who was a good friend of Sita's and Lavanya's for many years. And she was there and was sharing with us that she could see, or she had this vision while she was there with us, of Holy Mother standing behind the hospital bed above by the head of Sita, with her arms just kind of reaching over the hospital bed and just kind of holding a space for Sita as she sat there. And just the whole time was very, very beautiful. There was no sadness in that room at all. It was quite a lovely experience. And so we're all going to face this time, you know, this ending. And so to do it without desire will mean that you can leave this world without regret. You know, it's in those times that we're set free. When you've done your discernment, and you've loosened the hold that the world has on you, when you've seen the nature of it, that it's always changing, that nothing lasts, and even the things that seem to be don't remain what they are, that they're constantly morphing from one form to another form. And so when we come to know that nature, you know, that's when Mother lets us go, right? One disciple said to the mother one day, "The master said that those who accepted him as their spiritual ideal would not be born again. Again, Swamiji said that no liberation is possible without being initiated into sannyasa. What then is the way for householders?" The mother replied, "Yes, what the master said is true. What Swamiji said is equally true. Householders have no need of external renunciation. They will spontaneously get internal renunciation. But some people need external renunciation. Why should you be afraid? Surrender yourself to the master and always remember that he stands behind you." One day, Holy Mother placed her hand on her chest and told Swami Kamaleshwarananda, "If I go to the master, you too will certainly go to him." Right? So she's holding out those promises. And what does she say here? You know, we've got our promise that I hold on to all the time, that Ramakrishna said, if we come to this place, meaning to him, that this would be our final birth, that we will not be born again. And so then the sadhu here brings up some great points, saying, well, the master says that, you know, Swamiji said that no liberation is possible without being initiated into sannyas, without becoming a monk, you know, a householder, or I mean a renunciate. And really, this is true, but you have to remember that what is sannyas in the traditional terms? That's the last part of life, right? And so all of us get initiated into that period of sannyas in that last part of life. And in that last part of life, the renunciation is necessary. You've got to pack your bags. You've got to get your stuff together, you know, and start making preparations for leaving it all behind, leaving all of it behind. And so if you just live a regular life with attention, you know, with awareness, it will lead you through all of the proper steps to prepare for death. It's built into the process itself. That's why we get old, you know, to help us stop the attachments, to stop worrying about our beauty and about our weight and about our height and about our gender and about our pleasures. All right. We start growing old and we get too tired to stay attached to the clubs and to the fancy cars. And, our faces start drooping and our hair starts falling out, so we can't any longer attract the things that are necessary for our indulgences, right? And so life trains us, life teaches us one step at a time. And so really life is your religion. But the practice of your religion is to stay aware and to not fall into any habitual cycles of thinking or doing, right? But to stay present and mindful in the moment so that you can hear the lessons, so that you can see the lessons, and so that you don't resist them, right? That's such a tragedy to watch people who try and cling on to youth. You can't do it. And the more that a person tries, the more bizarre they become, frankly, because of that. And so really live life, live it carefully, live it with great attention, with great a sense of presence in all the moment, in everything that you do and everything that you say, and follow the signs. Mother will bring you home. That is the whole point. It's one of my beliefs anyway, that's the point of Maya. It's meant to bring you to liberation. It's meant to make you self-reliant, right? So that you only need the self. And it's meant to give you your absolute security in being, right? To bring you to the fullness of what it is to be a human being with the divinity within you manifesting brightly. One day, Swami Vijnanananda told of this incident to Swami Parameshananda. One day the master appeared before me and said, Peshan, you talk only about me and give my people to and give my name to people. Give Holy Mother's name also and talk about her. How will people get liberation if they do not know her? She is the giver of liberation. From then on, Swami Vijnanananda would initiate his disciples with the mantras of both the Master and the Mother. Indu Bhushan Sengupta, a disciple of Holy Mother, asked, Mother, is it true that those who have received spiritual initiation from you will not be born again? Holy Mother replies, yes, it is true. They will not have to come to this world again. Know for certain that there is someone always behind you. Umesh Chandradatta wrote in his reminiscences of the Holy Mother. Once I asked, Mother, the Master said that for those that had taken refuge in him, this would be their last birth. What will happen to those who have taken refuge in you? She replied, What else will happen, my son? The same thing will happen here as well. I asked, Mother, what will happen to those who have received initiation from you, but who do not practice japa and meditation? Mother, what else will happen? Why do you worry so much? Fulfill all the unfulfilled desires of your mind. Later, you will enjoy eternal peace in the abode of Ramakrishna. The Master has created a new realm for all of you. Another day, I asked her about liberation and devotion. The mother said, As regards liberation, it can be given at any moment, but God does not want to give devotion so easily. Saying so, she left immediately. She uttered these words in such a way that it seemed as if the gift of liberation was in the palm of her hand. Right? That's very interesting that here, that she seemed like she had it right there in her hand, that she could have just dispensed it immediately, and she runs away. And we have the exact same story with Swami Vivekananda giving that lecture in New York. And he said that the atmosphere of the room had become so heavy with the presence that he knew that he had his power, that if he had just thought it, he could have brought everybody in the room to illumination. And what did he do? He closed his book and walked off the podium and walked right out of the building and then left, just walked away. And later on, the disciples asked, why did you do that? If you were able to give liberation, why didn't you give it? And he said, because no one in there was prepared to hold it. And so it would have done them more damage than good, right? They would not have been able to contain it because all of their leaky holes had not been shored up yet. And so it would have just rushed out. If they were angry, it would have rushed out as anger. If they were lusty, it would have rushed out as lust, all those things. And so this is why they say a slow and steady and very observant practice is the best kind. not the big heroic, 10 days, no talking retreat, and then regular life for 6 months, and then another big, 10-day fasting retreat with 12 shamans from 9 traditions of the world. It's not these heroic big actions, expensive things that bring us home. It's the slow and steady and meticulous day to day of you gathering your wisdom and focusing your attention and being fully present in the joy of God now. Not to get, you see, Mother is up here. She's saying, why are you worrying so much? Why are you asking all these questions about what's coming later? We never are in the later. We are always in the now. She's like, bring it back. Don't worry about those things. Be present now. This is where your realization is going to happen, not at some future point. It's happening now. It's unfolding now. And so be present for it. Be here for it. Life is beautiful, even just leading up to realization, right? You are always free. Whether it's before you realize it or after you realize it, the freedom is there all the same. And if you can hold on to that by faith, you can enjoy it now, right? Just by assuming that Mother is telling the truth, which is a very safe assumption. One morning in Udbodhan house, the mother was talking with Arupananda and Lalit Chattopadhyay. Regarding spiritual life, she said, "The way is extremely difficult, like the sharp edge of a razor." She paused a while and then continued, "But he has kept you in his arms. He is looking after you." Right? Arupananda, "But we are not aware of it." Mother, "That is why you're all so miserable." Because you allow yourself to forget the beautiful things. Something as beautiful as that. You've let yourself forget. No wonder you suffer. What else will carry you through your suffering if it isn't the knowledge of the presence that makes everything for the best? It's because of the presence that all things work together for good, right? For those who forget God and for those who don't stay mindful, things work together for whatever purpose. Sometimes random stuff just pops up all over the place. The world doesn't make sense without the understanding of our nature, without the understanding of the nature of the world, right? So that's why you are all miserable. Lalit, the master will take us in his arms after death. Is there anything great in that? If he would only do so while we're still in this body. Mother, he is holding you in his arms even in this body. He is above our head. Truly, he is holding you. Arupananda, does he really hold us? Is it true? Holy Mother said firmly, yes, really, truly. Right, just 3 words. Yes, really, truly. So the master is holding us. Now, what do we do with this? Does this just give us, I'm always afraid of that devotional imaginary friend that makes everything okay. It's not just a placating thought that we're after, not just a simple idea in the mind that says, oh, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it, little Johnny. Go back to bed and pull your covers up, right? It's not like that. It's like you can have the distinct experience of the presence of the beloved and fill it and be filled with the joy and the bliss of that at this moment, right? It is a palpable reality. Thakur says it is possible to see God and to talk to him just as I'm talking to you now, right? Brahmananda in his classes, spiritual talks, is telling the same thing. That I talk to God and I don't move until I have an answer from her, right? And so these are all pointings that if you're willing to do the work, if you're not sure about trusting these things, if they seem naive or childish to you, which they can, these little promises of everything's fine, don't worry. But if you don't stop there, if you actually take the challenge and do the practice, you will see it yourself, right? And so if you judge it before you've seen it, if you judge it before you've done the work, you're going to miss out. because it's not apparent to us right now, because our eyes are on other things, right? Other things are distracting us from this truth. And so the practices will bring your eyes back to true vision, back to being able to see properly. And in that seeing properly, you will find your fulfillment. You'll find the satisfaction of the moment. You'll find your inner bliss. You'll find the presence of God within you in an overwhelming way, right? On different occasions, Holy Mother said of some people that their present birth would be their last. In April of 1912, Surendra Chakrabarti, a disciple, came to Udbodhan House and said to the mother, "Mother, we are deprived of the vision of the Master." She replied, "You will get it in due course. This is your last birth." Nivedita said, "Mother, we too are Hindus, but due to our karma, we have become born as Christians. This is their last birth too." Hearing the mother's occasional remarks about this last birth, Arupananda asked her, "Mother, what is the true meaning of the term last birth?" The master told some people that it would be their last birth. You are also saying the same thing. Holy Mother replied, "The last birth means that a person will not have to return to this world again and to go through the cycles of life and death." Arupananda wanted to verify this, so he asked, "Then does last birth mean nirvana?" Right? He wants the nuts and bolts. He wants them labeled. He's like, "Is this some trick that you're talking about, or is this the real thing?" And Mother's saying, "This is the real thing." Hello, Alex. Good to see you. So she says, Holy Mother replied, "Last birth means that the person will not have to return to this world again, that he will not have to go through the cycle of birth and death." Right? Well, does this mean nirvana? Of course it does. In some cases, their minds will be free from desire just prior to death. Right? So she's saying that's the worst of it. You won't be able to get rid of these desires until you're watching the body drop, which is a good time. It's a good time to drop your desires. Because if the skin that you rub your little fluffy bunny against is now dead, your bunny's not going to be a big desire for you anymore. If the lips that suck on the straw of your big chocolate milkshake can't suck on anything anymore, there's not going to be much desire left at that point. Right? So pay attention. Old age will take care of your desires. It will teach you renunciation. It will teach you acceptance. It will teach you reliance on the divine. And it will show you the inner world that finally, at that point in life, when you're not running out after all of the things of change and sparkle, you'll lay there, maybe in your old folks' home, right? Which is a terrifying thought for many of us. But you'll lay there in your old folks' home, and if you've done the practice, if you've done your daily routine, that will carry you through. I shared again and again and again about Swami Asitananda in the Alima retreat when he was alive. Very cantankerous monk when I first joined. He was a very difficult person to work with. But over the years, in the monastery, boy, he mellowed, and just became the most loving and kind person. And in those final 2 years of his life, I would check on him in his room in Olima when I was out there doing my karma yoga. And he couldn't get out of the chair. He spent those last 2 years in a single chair. It was a chair that turned into a bed at night and then flipped up into a chair during the day, because his hips had gotten brittle, and he had a bone infection in his heel, so he couldn't stand on it. And all these things were going on. And so he would sit in a chair in a room with no radio, no television, no distraction, no visitors, no art on the walls, just a room in a barn, not a barn that had been properly converted, a barn that had sort of just been hacked into a barnistery, as it were. And he lived there. And I would check on him. I would walk by his door and just look in at him. And there he would be sitting in his chair. And he always was sort of half looking up at the ceiling with just those moist, warm, red eyes that those holy men get in their old age, with the droopy eyelid on the bottom, and you just gazing into infinity with the sweetest contentment on his face. That was every time that I looked at him, every time I went to check on him, you know. And so he had found the inner world. He had found the temple of God within, and he had found the bliss inherent in being. And he didn't need anything else. He didn't need anybody to entertain him. He didn't need anybody to come feed him or to pet him or to he needed absolutely nothing. I remember I had the very unpleasant assignment because when he was getting close to him passing away, or we knew that it was getting close, we realized there was no good picture of him for an obituary. So I was tasked with having to go to the old folks' home and visit with him and to snap a picture for his obituary. And that was not a pleasant thing to do. And I was hemming and hawing around it the whole time, when I was there, because I knew if I pulled out my camera and snapped a picture, that he would get some sort of idea. And sure enough, he did, and he accepted it. So actually with a little bit of a chuckle, he said, "Ah, so you've come to get my last photo, have you?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj. Very good. Let me look good for this one, at least." Right. But when I ran into him, he was sitting in a hallway. At the end of the hall, there was a fire door that had a big red stop sign on it. And he was just sitting in front of that stop sign in his wheelchair, not moving. And so I walked all the way down that hall and saw him sitting there unmoving. And I got there and I walked in front of him. I said, "Hello, Swami." I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I was kind of just out rolling around, and I was rolling down the hall here, and I came upon this giant sign that said stop. And so I did." And he just sat there in the in his wheelchair, not moving, because the big red sign in front of him said stop, and he was content just to stop and just to sit there. This
Maharaj,
is yes.
at the end of the hall here at the old folks' home,
Uh-huh.
I have exit, not stop.
So we'll have to chase you down. Yes, but see, this is the beauty of it. This is the thing that touches my heart so much, is that yes, in the world, death is morbid. In the world, death means an end. In the world, death means sorrow and pain and separation. But for a person who seeks the truth of their nature, it's not. It's at the worst a rebirth, but it's a transcendence into something more akin to what you really are. There's a great bliss available, a great freedom available in that. Sri Nisargadatta says, the difference between a saint and a sinner is, he said, the sinner always leaves the world weeping, but he says that the saint always leaves the world laughing. Right? He gets the joke. He understands the joke, finds it funny, and laughs himself into freedom. Right? And so this is our task. This is our lot, is to do our practice and to die beautiful deaths that were informed by beautiful life, right? Informed by a beautiful life of living according to that light that we are. All right. Once in Urbodhan house, Golap Ma cleaned the toilet, and then after changing her cloth, she began to cut fruit for offering. Nalini could not bear it. This is the problem with looking out and paying attention to everybody else's business. Oh, I can't stand it when that person, it has nothing to do with you, Nalini. Anyway, so Nalini is terribly upset because Golap Ma had just cleaned a toilet, and after just all she did was change her clothes. So she didn't go bathe in the Ganges or anything. She just changed her clothes and went in and started preparing food for offering. And Nalini is just stunned. How? What? She's in here cooking food for the Lord and she hasn't bathed after cleaning a toilet. What's going on? And so Nalini could not bear it. She asked Golap Ma to bathe in the Ganges, but Golap Ma ignored her. I've seen this. I've seen this argument happen. Later, the mother commented, "How pure Golap's mind is, how high souled she is. Therefore, she does not discriminate so much between pure and impure things. She does not bother about rules regarding external purity. This is her last birth. The mother also said of Gauri Ma, Goridasi serves the girls wholeheartedly in her ashrama, and when they are ill, she bathes them with her own hands. She did not do such things when she was with her family, but now the master is making her do all types of karma, because this is her last birth. The concept of this last birth is a controversial topic. According to the Katha Upanishad, when all desires dwelling in the heart fall away, then the mortal becomes immortal and here attains Brahman. Krishna says in the Gita, at the time of death, a person who leaves his body, remembering me alone, he attains to my being. Of this there is no doubt. Right, so there's another way of saying the same thing, but in a way that gives us a little bit more hope. Right, to have no desire, what will you be on your mind? Well, the Lord will be on your mind, and it's desires that will take your mind off of the Lord. You know, as you're slipping out, the body's slipping off, and you suddenly think to yourself, "Oh man, I'm not going to be able to chew any more bubble gum. What a drag." You know, and suddenly you die thinking of not being able to chew any more bubble gum. And so this is why you don't want to have any desires left by the time you're laying that last day down, so that you can place your mind on bliss and it stays there. You can place your mind on the lap of the mother and it stays there. Right. And so this is the meaning of dying with no desires. It means that you can die with your eyes fully opened and your vision fully focused and your mind fully immersed in the presence that mother has revealed to you through your whole life, through your practice. That this is when it all comes to its deepest meaning, your freedom, your liberation. And you see how Golab Ma, you know, Nalini should, if she was saying this in front of Nalini, you know, because Nalini is thinking, oh, look, she's being so mindless. She's not even washing herself properly. She's so impure, right? And we hear people saying that kind of stuff all the time. And those people think that they're in the higher position, you know, criticizing you. Hey, you need to go bathe before you touch that. You can't use that knife on that counter. You have to use it on that counter over there. And they get all why? Because that's egoism, right? That's egoism that makes you get into everybody else's business when it's not your business and it's not your responsibility. And it turns out that she had the lower opinion. That it turns out that Golab Ma had transcended those ideas and wasn't stuck in these little, you know, the little what? She wasn't stuck in the details. She was enjoying the presence. Right. Buddha said that nirvana is possible when a person becomes free from desire. Ramakrishna said, for those who come here, it will be their last birth. The word here may be interpreted as referring to God. When a person realizes God, his heart becomes illumined and all desires disappear. So we will not have to come back again. Holy Mother was omniscient, and she knew the destiny of each individual. She reassured her disciples that the Master would come to receive them at the time of their death. Right? So this is her promise to all of us, that this will, in fact, be our lot, that we don't have to worry about this. And it's important that we learn not to worry about this, right? Because you have to be present now. You could die this moment. And if you were worrying about your enlightenment tomorrow, well, your mind's not going to be in the place today. Very necessary for that transition to happen, you know, sweetly. And so, all right. Well, we're on chapter 31 now. The human aspects of Holy Mother. Holy Mother as a human. We'll jump in here today. Out of your grace, redeem your child who is full of faults and has fallen into delusion. You are the ship that takes people across the ocean of worldliness. I salute you, Supreme Mother of the universe. Chapter 31, Human Aspects of Holy Mother. God incarnates in every age to demonstrate how to live as a human being. Okay, so that's the point of a Rama, the point of a Krishna, the point of Ramakrishna and the Buddha and Jesus. right? God incarnates in every age to demonstrate how to live as a human being. Only a human being can manifest the 9 kinds of sentiments or moods, which we find in a traditional Indian drama. Sringara, the erotic; Veera, the heroic; Karuna, the compassionate; Raudra, angry; Adbhuta, marvelous; Bhayanika, terrible or dreadful; Bibhatsa, monstrous; Hasya, humorous; and Shanta, peaceful or calm. All right, so there you have all 9 kinds of sentiment or moods as a human. Interesting. We see various characters in the divine dramas of the avatars who perform roles according to these rasas. Ramachandra, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Chaitanya, and Ramakrishna acted in the main roles, but a skillful actor or actress can make even a small role lively and earn high praise from the audience. All roles in a drama are equally important and worthy of a talented actor or actress. Playwrights base their characters on people. You see what he secretly did there in that paragraph? He gave you a little encouragement. He says, all of us are necessary. All of our roles are worthy of a good actor, right? So not to see yourself less than. Everybody, all roles in a drama are equally important and worthy of a talented actor or actress. Playwrights base their characters on people whose lives are eventful and successful, glorious and famous, adventurous and courageous, heroic and patriotic, talented and creative, historic and religious, or perhaps endowed with eternal values and motivated by public interest. Holy Mother's life demonstrates almost all of these characteristics, so her divine drama is interesting, intriguing, and indeed inspiring. It is worth seeing how a divine being acts in the role of an ordinary person. If a poor person acts in the role of a king on stage, he will have to forget his poverty. Otherwise, his performance will not be natural and convincing. Again, if a teetotaler performs in the role of a drunkard, he must forget himself in order to perform that role properly. Identification with the role and the forgetfulness of one's own individuality are essential for an adept actor. If avatars do not forget their divinity while acting on the world stage, they will not be able to perform convincingly as human beings. Right? They won't be able to earn our trust in that way, or our empathy, as we see that they manage the same things we manage and reach the goal and give us all kinds of promises and hopes and helps along the way for getting there ourselves. But quite lovely. All right. We'll go for another paragraph here. Like everyone else, Holy Mother ate, she slept, she walked, she worked, she talked, she laughed, she cried, she suffered from disease and grief and passed through worries and anxieties. At the same time, she was unique. She responded to worldly circumstances like ordinary people. But the moment she focused her mind on her true nature, she realized that she was acting on a stage and that this world was not real. Human beings live full time in this domain of Maya, but the mother lived sometimes in the domain of Maya and sometimes in the realm of divinity. She could move from one realm to another at will. Ramakrishna explains this phenomena. Everyone is under the spell of this world bewitching Maya. When God assumes a human body, he too comes under that spell. Rama wandered about weeping for Sita. Brahman weeps when entangled in the snare of the 5 elements. But you must remember this: God, by his mere will, can liberate himself from this snare. Right? So this is the difference between an avatar and a normal human being. It's a difference in power, Ramakrishna says. Where everybody's made of clay, there's no doubt, but you got a clay mouse, which is made of that much clay, and a clay horse or elephant that's made of that much clay. And so it's like that. The avatars are like the horses and elephants. They've got a lot of power. So they can walk out of their delusion in a snap. Their veil of Maya is very, very, very thin. Their commitment to me and mine, almost non-existent. And so all it takes is a simple statement on their part to let go. That's why Ramakrishna was always soaring off into samadhi, leaving his body almost as if it was dead behind until he would come back again. And it was because he was an avatar that he said that he had that option of being able to come back again. So as easily as he could take that last delusion out and blip into infinite freedom, he also had that incredible power of being able to bring himself back to the same point again of delusion, of me and mine in there, to have a body. Ramakrishna succinctly described the human aspect of God. The Nitya and Leela are the two aspects of reality. God plays in the world as man for the sake of his devotees. They can love God only if they see him in a human form. Only then can they show their affection for him as their brother, their sister, father, mother, or child. It is just for this love of the devotees that God contracts himself to a human form and descends on earth to play his Leela. It is because through a human body, one can hear his words. He sports through it. He tastes divine bliss through a human body. But through his other devotees, God manifests only as a small part of himself. Right? So all of us are God manifesting, but in us normal folks, it's just a small little bit of God. In a Jesus, it's the full thing. In a Ramakrishna, it's the whole ideal, right? A whole through egoism, through which God can be seen. That's what an avatar is. And for us, we want to become wholes through egoism also. That's why we're constantly working to transcend our own, to undo this idea of being a body-mind. Swami Parameshwarananda recalled, "We have seen the mother's two aspects, her human and her divine. When she was in the ordinary human plane, she followed social rules and norms and experienced pain and suffering, grief and affliction, just like ordinary people. Her extraordinary divine aspect was hidden beneath an ordinary human appearance, but amidst the hustle bustle of her household, her mind was always calm and focused upward. She was completely detached. When she remembered her true nature, she dwelt in a higher realm that was beyond the reach of ordinary human beings. Because Holy Mother was a world teacher, every one of her actions and words has deep significance. Wherever she lived, her all-inclusive love made that place and its people her own. She had a special love for her small, poor village of Jairambati. Once, while she was leaving for Calcutta, her aunt said to her, "Sharada, do come again." "Of course I will come," replied the mother. She then took some dust from the mud floor and touched it to her forehead, quoting a Sanskrit verse, Janani Janmad Bhumisha Svargadapi Gariyashi. Mother and motherland are superior even to heaven. As we have mentioned earlier, her life in Calcutta was not as free as her life in Jairambati. In Calcutta, she lived upstairs in Udbodhan House, and once a day she went to have her bath in the Ganges. Seldom did she go out for sightseeing or to visit a devotee's house. However, she was always busy with her worship and her spiritual ministry. Those who could not go to Jairambati came to her Calcutta residence for initiation and spiritual instruction. We have described the mother's daily routine in Jairambati and in Calcutta. In this chapter, we shall depict her human qualities so that the ordinary people can relate to her. One morning in Jairambati, Holy Mother was helping to husk paddy, which she did almost every day. Swami Arupananda asked her, "Mother, why should you work so hard?" "My child," she said in reply, "to make my life a model. I have done much more than what is necessary." Her pure and perfect and unselfish life is an ideal model for human beings. She left a mold for her children, and it is now up to us to cast our lives in that mold. All right, we'll stop there for the day.